Well, they did this in India, so
and I'd like to know, I guess I'm trying to figure out, does voting even matter? Do the people choose the president? Who is in control of American politics?
But unfortunately, in recent years, the last decade or so, with computerized voting and with so many documented instances of fraud, so actually what needs to be done is we need to scrap the computer machines and we need to go back to paper ballots, which can be held and counted and recounted, and then we know if we have a fair election. Joseph Stalin, but he once said that he didn't really care how anyone voted, he only cared about who counted the votes. And that's it. If you can control the vote counting through computer technology, then it doesn't matter how people vote.
Well, you know, when I was younger, we learned in school that this is a true democracy that we're living in. That we vote, and the person we vote for becomes president, and all is well with the land. But I'm starting to get the feeling that it's not exactly what we learned in school. Who really controls who runs this country?
Well, first let's start with, we got to get our definitions down. We were not given a democracy by our forefathers. And what were we given? We were given a democratic republic, which means we get to vote for representatives, and then we have a three-tiered branch of government. We have checks and balances. We have court system. We got the legislative, the executive, the judicial. Okay, but see, it's getting by the board now. Now back to what you asked about who runs the country. This country is run by an oligarchy. An oligarchy is defined by a group of rich people. Real power are in a number of old rich families that have been here since the founding of the republic, and most of them tied into banking.
Who are these people that think they can make decisions for humanity and cull the population and make calls for the rest of us?
All right, if you want to know who they are, I could start naming names, but except for maybe some of the more better known ones like Henry Kissinger, the Bush family, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers. If you really want to know their names, just get the roster of the Bilderberg meetings. And you find the royalty of Europe, you find the royalty of the United States, and you find the owners and leaders of the international corporations. Okay, so in other words, they have no real concern for any one particular country. Their concern is global.
Thanks for having me in. A cup of coffee, I'm in your place. But what I'd really like to know is, I mean, how real are these conspiracies?
Well, Pat, let's look at the word conspiracy. It comes from the Latin conspire, which simply means to breathe together, to operate together. If you got more than one person and they got a plan, it's a conspiracy. Franklin Roosevelt once said, you know, in government, if something happens, you better believe it was planned that way. And then you go back all through history. Assassinations and power plays and overthrowing the throne. It's all one conspiracy after another. So, you know, don't even wonder, is there conspiracy? The whole world's a conspiracy. In fact, my motto is, if it's not an act of God, it's a conspiracy.
Basically, the word conspiracy just means people are planning things.
Hey, if you had a business, okay, and I ask you, what's your business plan? But if you have a business plan, you don't share it with your competition, do you? So it's a conspiracy.
So some people have plans and they don't need other people knowing their plans. What are some conspiracies or bad plans that Americans need to know about today?
Well, they need to know about the takedown of their nation. You see, these globalists pit one nation or economic bloc off against the other to maintain power, profit, and control. So what they really want is a global socialist system, possibly of like 3 economic blocs. In fact, they are wrecking our economy. We've seen that really go into high speed in the last couple of years through the Federal Reserve System, which is neither federal nor has any reserves. It's a private banking cartel.
Is this all just capitalism at work as people are trying to make more money, so they're sending our factories overseas? Or is there a concerted attempt by a small group to bring down the United States?
Listen, the people who run these corporations are not stupid, or they wouldn't have these multinational, multi-trillion-dollar corporations. No, you can go back, you can study history, and you can study the families and the groups behind everything that's going on, and you can see the plan.
Who is controlling the media that we watch?
You know, we live under the golden rule. Whoever has the gold makes the rules. That's the way it operates today. Most people who are on a salary, they're struggling to pay their bills every month. They're not free. Well, they got a term for it. It's called wage slaves. And that's what most people are. Young people particularly have more access to information than ever before in the history of the world. But yet they're the stupidest and the dumbest generations there are, because they're not making use of it. They're all twittering about their girlfriend or boyfriend, okay? Ooh, Johnny saw so-and-so and da-da-da-da-da. And they don't pay attention to what's going on. There is no news media in this country anymore. No corporate media, okay?
Well, what is it that we're watching on TV and we call
You're watching corporate advertising delivery systems, but they're not really telling you what's going on.
Well, who controls this? Why can't we get news of what's really going on in the world?
Well, because of these same families and these same people that own the banking interests, that own the 5 corporations that control everything you see and hear. If everybody understood the way things really worked, they'd stop it. If the people are fully informed of the truth of a situation, they generally will make good decisions. The problem is they're never told the truth. Look at Iraq. We were lied to. We were told that Saddam was going to build a bomb within 7 weeks. No. We were told they had hidden weapons of mass destruction. Never found those. We were told everybody supported President Bush, which they didn't. There were peace demonstrations, anti-war demonstrations that were even larger in scale than during Vietnam, but they weren't reported on like they were during Vietnam. And so we marched off to war under false pretexts, with most of the people going, yeah, I guess we have to do this, because they were not told the truth.
The world isn't the way we think it is.
In my book, Ruled by Secrecy, I quote from maybe a half-dozen present and former world leaders, and they all say the same thing, to one degree or another, in one way or another, which is that the way things really operate behind the scenes are very, very different than what the public is told by their media. Here's what the famous British leader Benjamin Disraeli said.
Okay, Benjamin Disraeli said, "The world is governed by very different personages from what is imagined by those who are not behind the scenes."
There you go. Here, start with some of the biggest.
Okay, this is a quote from President Woodrow Wilson. He said, "Some of the biggest men in the United States in the field of commerce and manufacture are afraid of somebody or afraid of something. They know there is a power somewhere so organized, so subtle, so watchful, so interlocked, so complete, so pervasive, that they had better not speak above their breath when they speak in condemnation of it."
Pretty well tells the story, doesn't it?
It does, but what is this mysterious power that he's talking about?
Good question.
Who? Oh. It is a good question. It's a question. Do we have an answer? Do we know who that would be?
I do, but you're going to have to wait for my new book.
All right. What is your new book called? What's it going to be about?
Right now, I think they've accepted the title. It's going to be Our Occulted History. In that sense, occulted means hidden or mask. Our hidden history, what we haven't been told about who we are, where we came from, and where we're going.
All right. Well, I guess I'll just have to wait for the book to find out the answers. All right.
So after reading my books, join us on Epic Voyagers as we voyage along to pierce the veil of secrecy and deceit woven about us by the corporate media, and try to find the truth of who we are, where we came from, and where we're going.
What about the alien conspiracy? I mean,
Oh,
is that
that's
being
another
kept
whole
from the
thing.
public too?
See, I even have sign up here, see, because they come down through the valley at night, you know.
Whoa.